The massive screen inside the Galactic Council chamber showed a small fleet of ships moving through space. The vessels looked like tiny silver fish compared to the enormous council ships floating nearby. Around the circular table, representatives from 20 different alien species watched with mixed expressions of amusement and disbelief. Lord Bright, the blue-skinned council leader, leaned forward in his floating chair. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence as he studied the human vessels. "These are their warships?" he asked, his translator making his disbelief clear in standard galactic common. "They look like escape pods compared to our smallest corvettes." The Council's chief scanner, Master Green, nodded his elongated head. "Yes, sir. These represent the best ships Earth has to offer. Their largest vessel is only 300 meters in length. For comparison, our standard diplomatic ship is 3,000 meters long." Quiet laughter spread through the chamber. Some representatives didn't even try to hide their amusement, their various appendages shaking with mirth. On one of those tiny ships, Admiral Stone stood straight-backed on the bridge of the EDF Clever Fox, watching the Council's massive vessels through the main viewport. His weathered face remained calm, but his eyes held a glint of something. Perhaps amusement, perhaps irritation. "They're scanning us again, sir," reported Lieutenant Hall from her station. "7th detailed scan in the last hour." Stone nodded slowly. "Let them look all they want. They'll see exactly what we want them to see." The bridge crew exchanged knowing glances. They had trained for this moment for years, perfecting every detail of their presentation to the Galactic Council. Everything had to look exactly right, or exactly wrong, depending on your perspective. Back in the Council chamber, the representatives were reviewing the scan data. "Their weapons are primitive," announced Master Green. "Simple kinetic weapons, basic energy shields, and rudimentary faster-than-light drives. They barely qualify as a spacefaring civilization." Lord Bright's upper lip curled in what passed for a smile in his species, and yet they dare to request membership in the Galactic Trading Network. With these toys, a communication request flashed on the main screen. Admiral Stone's image appeared, his human form looking small and fragile to the assembled aliens. "Honorable Council," Stone began, his voice steady and respectful. "The Earth Defense Fleet requests permission to demonstrate our capabilities. We believe we can prove our worth as potential trading partners." Lord Bright waved one of his elegant hands dismissively. "We have seen enough, Admiral Stone. Your vessels are inadequate. The Galactic Trading Network requires members to maintain a fleet capable of defending established trade routes. Your ships would be destroyed by the weakest pirate band." Stone's expression didn't change. "With respect, appearances can be deceiving. We would value the opportunity to." "The Council has made its decision," Lord Bright interrupted. "Return to your Earth. Develop proper ships, real warships. Perhaps in a few centuries, you will be ready to join civilized space." The Council members nodded in agreement, already turning their attention to other matters. None of them noticed the slight smile that crossed Admiral Stone's face before his image vanished from the screen. On the Clever Fox, Stone turned to his crew. "Send the coded message to Earth Command. Operation Trojan Horse is proceeding exactly as planned." Commander Swift, the ship's engineer, allowed herself a small grin. "They didn't even notice the modular seams, sir. Their scanners just saw what they expected to see. Small, primitive ships." "Pride comes before a fall," Stone said quietly, watching the massive alien ships through the viewport. "And some of these aliens are about to fall very, very far indeed." The human fleet began its apparently dejected withdrawal from Council space, their small ships looking particularly insignificant against the star-filled backdrop. Behind them, the Council races congratulated themselves on maintaining their high standards, never suspecting that they had just made the biggest mistake in their collective history. They had underestimated humanity. They would not do so for long. Captain Reed stood in the dimly lit intelligence room aboard the EDF Shadow Runner, studying the holographic display of Council space. Red dots marked the gathering of alien warships, lots of red dots. "Play it again," he ordered quietly. The intercepted communication flickered to life. 3 council representatives appeared in the hologram, their voices translated into English. "The humans must not be allowed to develop further," the first alien said, its crystalline form glittering. "Their system has rich resources. We should secure them now, while their fleet is weak." "Agreed," rumbled the second, a massive creature with armor-like skin. "A peacekeeping mission would be appropriate. For their own protection, of course." The third alien, serpentine and elegant, flicked its tongue. "The council will approve. After all, we can't leave such valuable resources in the hands of primitives." Reed turned to his intelligence officer, Lieutenant West. "How many ships are they gathering?" "At least 300 capital ships, sir. All bigger than our largest apparent size." West's lips twitched at the last words. "They're calling it the Protection Fleet." "More like the Invasion Fleet," Reed muttered. He pressed a button on his command pad. "Admiral Stone needs to see this." Within an hour, the leaders of Earth's defense fleet gathered in a secure virtual conference. Admiral Stone's hologram stood at the center, his face grim. "It's happening exactly as we predicted," Stone said. "They see us as weak, primitive, and ripe for conquest." "Captain Reed, your report." Reed shared the intelligence data. "They'll launch within 2 weeks. 3 major council races are contributing ships: the Crystal Collective, the Iron Giants, and the Star Servants. Each of their smallest ships is 5 times bigger than our largest on the surface." Commander Swift spoke up next, her engineering expertise crucial to the discussion. "All modules are ready, Admiral. The outer shells show exactly what they expect to see. Primitive technology, basic weapons. The real systems remain undetectable to their standard scans." "And our crews?" Stone asked. "Trained and ready," replied Captain Reed. "Every pilot knows their role in the swarm protocol. We can initiate transformation sequences at a moment's notice." Stone nodded slowly. "They think size equals power. That bigger means better." He smiled slightly. "They're about to learn a hard lesson about human ingenuity." The meeting continued with final preparations. On screens across the room, diagrams showed human ships breaking apart and recombining in complex patterns. What looked like small, simple vessels were actually segments of much larger, more powerful configurations. Back on the Shadowrunner, Reed walked through the ship's corridors, observing his crew at work. Engineers checked the hidden seams where ship segments could separate and reconnect. Weapons officers ran simulations of the transformed ship configurations. "Status report," he asked his second-in-command, Officer Bell. "All systems nominal, sir," Bell replied. "The Council's spy ships did another pass yesterday. Their scans showed exactly what we wanted. A small, weak vessel barely worth noticing." Reed touched a wall panel, revealing complex circuitry hidden beneath a seemingly primitive exterior. "Humanity learned long ago that looking harmless can be an advantage. Let them think we're primitive. Let them come in full of confidence and pride." A junior officer rushed up with a datapad. "Sir, the Council just issued a formal declaration. They're sending a peacekeeping mission to Earth for our own protection." "Right on schedule," Reed said. He opened a channel to Admiral Stone. "Sir, Operation Trojan Horse is entering Phase 2. The Council took the bait." "Excellent." Stone's voice came back. "Maintain current protocols. Let them think they're the hunters." He paused. "They don't realize yet that they're actually the prey." Throughout human space, preparations continued quietly. Ships that appeared small and weak ran secret drills, practicing complex transformation sequences. Crews memorized their roles in the coming battle, and in every hidden compartment, advanced technology waited to be unveiled. The storm was coming, but this time, humanity would be the thunder. The Council's protection fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. 300 massive ships filled the darkness of space, their metal hulls gleaming in the distant sunlight. Each ship was a city in space, stretching for kilometers. Lord Bright stood on the command deck of his flagship, the Eternal Glory. Below him, crew members from various council races worked at their stations. The massive viewscreen showed Jupiter's red storm in the distance. "Status of the human fleet?" he asked, his 4 eyes focused on the display. "Detected, my lord," replied the sensor officer. 20 small vessels near Mars orbit. They appear to be running away. Laughter filled the bridge. Lord Bright allowed himself a satisfied smile. As expected, these primitives finally understand their true place in the galaxy. On the bridge of the Clever Fox, Admiral Stone watched the Council fleets approach. The massive alien ships looked like floating mountains, bristling with weapon ports and defense shields. "All ships reporting ready, sir," Lieutenant Hall announced. "Swarm protocol is loaded and awaiting your command." Stone nodded. "Send the signal to all captains. Begin Phase 3. Make it look good." Across the human fleet, officers relayed commands. The small ships started to turn, their engines flaring as they appeared to flee in disarray. Captain Reed, watching from the Shadow Runner, had to admire the performance. "Look at their formation, Bell. Every ship exactly where it needs to be, while looking completely scattered." Officer Bell checked his tactical display. "The Council fleet is taking the bait, sir. They're spreading out to chase us." The Council ships moved forward confidently, their huge forms spreading across space like a net. On their bridges, alien commanders exchanged amused messages about the cowardly humans. "Such a waste of resources," the Crystal Collective's commander said over the shared channel. "Their system will serve better under proper management." "Their ships are so small, they must have been built by children," laughed the Iron Giant's general, his metallic skin reflecting bridge lights. The Star Serpent's admiral flicked her tongue in amusement. "Look how they run. No pride, no courage." Lord Bright watched the tactical display with satisfaction. The human ships were retreating toward Earth, exactly as predicted. His fleet spread wider, preparing to surround the primitive vessels. "Send the demand for surrender," he ordered. "Tell them resistance is pointless, but we will be merciful." The message went out, echoing across space. On the Clever Fox, Admiral Stone listened with a slight smile. "Should we respond, sir?" asked Lieutenant Hall. "No need," Stone replied. "Our actions will speak louder than words." He touched his command console. "All ships, maintain course. Let them think they have us trapped." The human fleet continued its apparent retreat, their small ships looking insignificant against the backdrop of Earth. The massive Council vessels followed, their weapons charged and shields raised. "They're almost in position," Captain Reed reported from the Shadow Runner. "All ships confirm ready for transformation sequence." In the Council fleet, overconfidence had become celebration. Officers were already discussing how they would divide Earth's resources. None of them noticed how the scattered human ships were actually moving in a precise pattern. "Final warning to the human fleet," Lord Bright announced grandly. "Surrender now or—" "Sir," his sensor officer suddenly called out. "The human ships, there's something strange about their movement pattern." "What do you mean?" Lord Bright demanded, irritation clear in his voice. "They're not really running away," the officer said slowly. "They're forming something." Admiral Stone's voice came over all channels, calm and clear. "Thank you for coming exactly where we wanted you. Now let us show you why size isn't everything." Across space, 20 small human ships began to change. The 20 human ships began to split apart like blooming flowers. Each vessel separated into 6 distinct sections, their outer shells falling away to reveal gleaming inner surfaces covered in connection points and energy conduits. On the Eternal Glory's bridge, Lord Bright stood frozen, all 4 eyes wide with disbelief. What are they doing?" His answer came in the form of a spectacular transformation. The separated ship segments moved with perfect precision, connecting and combining in ways the Council races had never imagined possible. "Sir," the sensor officer shouted, "those weren't small ships. They were modules. There, they're combining. Where 20 tiny vessels had been, 3 massive battle formations now took shape. The first looked like a giant sword, pieces locked together to create a ship larger than anything in the Council fleet. The second formed a massive shield-like structure, its combined energy fields pulsing with power. The third became a sprawling web of interconnected segments surrounding a portion of the Council fleet. Admiral Stone's voice came over all channels again. Council fleet, allow us to properly introduce ourselves. These are Earth's true warships. What you saw before were just the pieces. On the Shadowrunner, now forming the tip of the sword formation, Captain Reed watched his tactical display light up with new readings. All segments locked in place. Power flow at maximum. Weapons grid online. The Council fleet's confidence shattered. Ships began to break formation, their commanders shouting conflicting orders. Impossible. Lord Bright shouted. Our scans showed primitive technology. You saw what we wanted you to see, Stone replied calmly. A lesson about judging by appearances. Commander Swift, demonstrate our real capabilities. The shield formation, led by Commander Swift, suddenly lit up with energy. Hidden weapon ports opened along its combined surface. Points of light gathered at each port. Multiple energy signatures. A council officer screamed. They're nothing like the readings we had before. The shield formation fired. Beams of light connected between its segments, forming a web of energy that sliced through 3 council ships as if they were paper. The massive vessels split apart, their crews racing for escape pods. How? Lord Bright demanded. Your ships were so small. Size isn't everything, Reed replied from the sword formation. Flexibility, adaptation, and innovation. That's human strength. All ships execute Hydra pattern. The human formation shifted again, segments disconnecting and reconnecting in new patterns. Each time the Council fleet targeted a section, it would split apart, the pieces joining different formations or creating new ones. Commander Swift's voice crackled over the comm. This is what humanity does best. We adapt. We evolve. We transform. The web formation demonstrated this by splitting into 12 smaller combinations, each targeting a council ship. The smaller formations were still more powerful than their original tiny forms, using their combined energy systems in ways the council had never seen. All those scans, an Iron Giant's commander said in horror. They weren't reading individual ships at all. They were reading individual modules, Stone confirmed, each designed to work alone or as part of a greater whole. Your arrogance made you see what you expected, primitive, simple vessels. Your pride blinded you to the truth. The sword formation split into 2 smaller blade configurations, slicing through the Council fleet's defensive lines. The shield formation separated into 4 protective barriers, each guarding a different attack group. Lord Bright watched his mighty fleet falling into chaos. The humans hadn't built smaller ships because they were primitive. They'd built them that way because it made them more powerful. All Council ships, he transmitted, his voice shaking. Fall back. Fall. A blade formation cut through his command deck shields like they weren't there. The mighty Eternal Glory, pride of the Council fleet, began to drift in space, its power cores dark. The battle had only just begun, and humanity was about to teach the galaxy a lesson it would never forget. Chaos ruled space as the transformed human fleet tore through the Council's formations. The massive alien ships, once so proud and confident, now looked slow and clumsy compared to the ever-changing human configurations. Admiral Stone watched from his command module, now part of a spinning wheel formation that protected Earth's orbital space. Status report, he ordered. Council fleet is in disarray, Lieutenant Hall replied. They've lost 30 capital ships. No casualties on our side. When they hit a module, we just reconfigure around the damage. Stone nodded. Show me Captain Reed's group. The display shifted to show the sword formation splitting into 3 smaller attack groups. As a Council ship fired its main weapons, the human modules simply separated, letting the energy blast pass harmlessly between them. Then they reconnected in a new pattern behind the alien vessel. "Beautiful," Stone murmured. "Like a dance we've practiced for years." On the Shadowrunner, now leading one of the attack groups, Reed directed his modules with precise commands. Section 2, Break and Reform. Section 3, Power to Forward Shields. The modules moved like living things, breaking apart and reconnecting faster than the Council gunners could target them. When a massive blast from a Crystal Collective ship damaged 2 modules, the others simply shifted position, sealed the formation, and kept fighting. "Sir," Officer Bell called out, "the Iron Giants are trying to copy our strategy. They're breaking their ships into smaller units." Reed actually laughed. "Let them try. Their ships weren't built for this." On the Council command channels, panic spread as the Iron Giants' attempt at copying human tactics ended in disaster. Their massive ships, designed to stay in one piece, broke apart catastrophically when they tried to separate. Commander Swift's voice came over the human fleet channel. "They don't understand. Our ships weren't built big and then made to break apart. They were built as modules from the start, designed to work together in any combination." To demonstrate, her shield formation suddenly split into its component modules, each one diving through a gap in the Council's defenses. Behind the enemy line, the modules reconnected into a massive spear configuration that speared through 3 Council ships at once. "Look at their tactics," Stone observed, "still trying to fight as individual massive ships. They never learned to work together." The Star Serpent's fleet tried to counterattack, their sleek vessels moving in what they thought was an unpredictable pattern. But the human modules simply formed into a net configuration, catching and trapping the alien ships between linked energy fields. Another Council battle group approaching from Sector 7, Lieutenant Hall reported. "Time to show them our final surprise," Stone said. "All ships, initiate Hydra Protocol." Across the battlefield, damaged human modules began to split in a new way. Each broken section reformed into 2 smaller but fully functional modules. Where the Council fleet thought they had destroyed human capabilities, they had actually doubled them. "Impossible," a Crystal Collective commander transmitted. "Their broken ships are multiplying." "Not multiplication," Reed replied calmly. "Adaptation. Every module contains backup systems. When you damage one, it becomes 2. Cut off one head. 2 more take its place." Stone finished. "A lesson from Earth's ancient mythology." "Commander Swift, demonstrate please." Swift's formation, which had taken heavy damage to its front sections, suddenly split those damaged modules into 16 smaller units. The new modules swarmed around the Council ships like angry bees, their smaller size making them almost impossible to hit. The Council fleet's rigid battle doctrine fell apart in the face of such fluid, adaptable tactics. Their mighty ships, designed to overwhelm with size and power, couldn't cope with an enemy that turned damage into advantage and weakness into strength. "Send the signal to Earth Command," Stone ordered. "Operation Trojan Horse is complete. The Council fleet is ready for the final lesson in human ingenuity." Lord Bright stood in the emergency command center of his backup ship, watching his mighty fleet crumble. The proud Council armada, which had arrived with such confidence, now struggled to retreat in one piece. "Status report," he demanded, his voice having lost all its earlier arrogance. "We've lost contact with 40% of the fleet," an officer replied, fear clear in his voice. "The human formations, they're everywhere. Every time we destroy one, 2 more appear in its place." Through the view screen, Lord Bright watched a scene that would haunt him forever. A single human ship, really a combination of modules, split apart to dodge an energy blast, its segments flowing around the attack like water. Then the modules reconnected in a new pattern and struck back, their combined weapons cutting through a Council battleship's shields as if they weren't there. "Send the retreat signal," Lord Bright ordered. "All ships, fall back to." "Sir," The sensor officer interrupted. The humans. They're forming something massive. In the space around Earth, the scattered human modules began moving in perfect synchronization. Hundreds of segments, including the newly split pieces from damaged units, flowed together like a river of metal. Admiral Stone's voice echoed through all communication channels. Council Fleet, observe humanity's final demonstration. All ships, form Unity configuration. Captain Reed, commanding his group of modules near Mars orbit, smiled as he gave the order. All units, connect and synchronize. Show them what humanity can really do when we work together. The modules linked up in a cascading pattern, power flowing between them in visible streams of energy. Where there had been separate battle groups, now a single massive form took shape, a ship larger than anything the Council had ever built. By the ancient stars, Lord Bright whispered, their whole fleet, it's becoming one ship. Commander Swift's voice joined the broadcast. You thought bigger meant better. Let us show you what real size means when it's backed by adaptability and innovation. The combined human fleet, now a single gigantic vessel shaped like a spreading tree, lit up with energy. Every module contributed its power to the whole, creating weapons powerful enough to reshape the solar system. This is humanity's true strength, Stone announced. Not just our ability to break apart and adapt, but our ability to come together and become something greater than the sum of our parts. The Unity configuration's weapons charged, points of light spreading along its branching structure. The remaining Council ships looked tiny in comparison, their massive size now meaningless before this display of human engineering. Please, Lord Bright transmitted, his pride completely broken. We surrender. The Council fleet surrenders. A wise choice, Stone replied. The Unity configuration's weapons powered down, but remained ready. Perhaps now the Council will learn not to judge by appearances. In the hours that followed, the surviving Council ships limped away from Earth space. Their crews would carry stories that would spread across the galaxy. Tales of ships that changed shape at will, of modules that multiplied when damaged, and of a fleet that could transform from many to one in moments. On the central command module of the Unity configuration, Admiral Stone met with his officers through holographic projections. The Council's doctrine of bigger is better has failed, Reed reported. Their entire military strategy will need to change. They'll be forced to recognize Earth as a major power now, Swift added. No one can ignore this demonstration. Stone nodded, looking out at the stars. They came expecting to find primitives with toy ships. Instead, they found humanity. He smiled slightly. And humanity has always known that true strength lies not in size, but in the ability to adapt, to change, and to work together. The Unity configuration hung in space above Earth, its modular structure gleaming in the sunlight, a testament to human ingenuity and a warning to any who might underestimate Earth in the future. 1 month after the battle, the Galactic Council chamber looked very different. The circular table had been modified to include a new seat, one sized for human representatives. Admiral Stone sat there now, his calm presence a reminder of how much had changed. Lord Bright, his previous arrogance replaced by careful respect, stood at the center of the chamber. The Council officially recognizes Earth and its defense fleet as a major power within galactic space, he announced. Their innovative approach to ship design has demonstrated a level of advancement we fail to appreciate. Stone nodded politely, remembering how different this room had felt during their first visit. Around the table, representatives from various alien races watched him with a mixture of fear, respect, and curiosity. The human fleet's modular design has been reclassified, Lord Bright continued. No longer will they be registered as small vessels. Instead, they are now categorized as advanced modular combat systems, a new class created specifically to recognize their unique capabilities. In Earth orbit, Commander Swift supervised the repair and upgrade of the human fleet. Damaged modules had split into new units during the battle, actually increasing their numbers. Engineers worked on the newly birthed modules, installing the complex systems that allowed them to combine and separate at will. "Final system check complete," reported a technician. "All new modules are combat-ready." Swift smiled. "Good. Load the improved connection protocols. Just because we won doesn't mean we stop innovating." Back in the council chamber, Captain Reed presented the terms for Earth's entry into the Galactic Trading Network. "We offer our knowledge of modular ship design in exchange for fair trading rights," he explained. "However, the core technology, our ability to create perfect synchronization between modules, remains Earth's alone." The alien representatives murmured among themselves. The Crystal Collective's speaker raised a glittering hand. "But surely, with proper study, we could recreate." "You could try," Reed interrupted politely, "just like the Iron Giants tried to copy our tactics during the battle. But our success isn't just about technology. It's about thinking differently, about seeing strength and flexibility rather than just size. A lesson we learned at great cost," Lord Bright admitted. "The Council's military assessment protocols are already being reformed. We will no longer judge a civilization's capabilities solely by the size of their ships." Stone stood, addressing the chamber. "Earth doesn't seek dominance. We seek partnership. We've shown we can break apart and become many, or join together and become one. Both are forms of strength. Both have value." Throughout known space, stories of the battle spread. Trading ships carried tales of the human fleet that transformed like something from legend. Young aliens studied videos of the Unity configuration, marveling at how hundreds of small modules could combine into something so massive yet graceful. In the Council's military academies, textbooks were rewritten. The chapter on fleet doctrine now began with a warning. Size alone does not determine strength. The human fleet proved that adaptation, innovation, and unity are the true measures of power. Admiral Stone's final words to the Council became famous across the galaxy. "You saw our small ships and fought us weak. You saw our primitive weapons and fought us defenseless. You saw our retreat and fought us cowards. But you never asked why we built our fleet this way. You never wondered what else these ships might become. That was your mistake, thinking that things can only be what they first appear to be." As his words echoed through the chamber, a junior council member whispered to another, "Did you hear? Their shipyards are already building more modules." "How many?" the other asked nervously. "Does it matter?" came the reply. "Whether they build 1 or 1,000, we'll never know their true strength until they choose to show it." Above Earth, the human fleet continued its patrols. The ships looked small against the backdrop of space, exactly as intended. Their true power remained hidden within, ready to transform, adapt, and unite whenever needed. Humanity had earned its place among the stars, not through size or strength alone, but through the power of innovation, adaptability, and the ability to work together. The galaxy would never underestimate Earth again.